Hi, everybody. I just want to start by first saying how big of a deal this feels like to be here. I was part of the first cohort in 2012 to start in this program after beginning University of Victoria in 2001. So after a long hiatus, to be here today is really gratifying. I also want to thank Lynn and Betty for all your support and my peers in the program who challenged me and inspired me throughout these last 3 months. So with that in mind, I want to take you through my case study and my practicum that I undertook at the Edible Garden Project. And before I begin, I just want to acknowledge the territory of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh Nation, where my practicum took place, which is in the North Shore of Vancouver, just over the Lionsgate Bridge there. So the Edible Garden Project really can be summarized with these 3 simple statements. We share, we farm, we teach. And the EGP, as it's known, is a very small nonprofit organization which operates out of the North Shore Neighborhood House. Their mission is to create a thriving community culture that grows food gardens which bring people together, builds knowledge and skills, and provides access to high-quality fresh produce for everyone in the community. My practicum was situated in a division of the organization called Sharing the Bounty, which is responsible for growing food exclusively for the purposes of distributing to people on low income in the North Shore. This food is grown primarily on residential plots and a couple school plots as well. It's managed almost exclusively by hundreds of volunteers who plan, plant, harvest, and distribute food through the local food hub. So the case that was identified early in my practicum, it kind of takes an interesting approach, and that was one that was identified in the strategic vision of the Edible Garden Project, and that was to bridge some of the gaps in knowledge that existed amongst volunteers, actually, as they relate to food justice and poverty. And the objective by increasing this knowledge was really to begin to shift the traditional model, the traditional thinking around a charity model to one of unity and solidarity. And the rationale for doing this is that everyone should have a right to access high-quality food in a dignified manner. And so that dignity piece is really where this shift comes from looking at things as a charity, as just a handout, really to seeing people as everybody as having a contributing piece to play in society, no matter whether they're accessing food through a food hub or they're getting it at the grocery store. And just the numbers on the side there just really give a picture about the types of people that are accessing food through the food hub in the North Shore. So 51% of seniors are living in the poverty level, and 1 in 5 families are living below the poverty level. Some of my tasks that I undertook here was really focused around getting to know the volunteers, facilitating discussions, developing project plans, implementation plans, building a trusted resource of relevant material that would be shared and form a foundation for knowledge for the volunteers moving forward. So a lot of my work really focused on communication, this lens to health literacy, considering the social determinants of health, and building capacity amongst the volunteers. So with those in mind, I want to just walk you through what my proposal is sessions that I called the Spark Sessions. And the Spark Sessions are really meant as an educational opportunity for the volunteers at the EGP, and they'll be delivered through email twice a month in a very informal, inviting setting. So every 2 months, the volunteers will be distributed a video link that I vetted for quality and accuracy. And these resources will really highlight success stories in similar agencies such as the Downtown Eastside Kitchen Table Project and Table Matters. And they'll also begin to unpack some of the issues related to poverty, emergency food systems, and the larger issues related to proximal, distal, and medial determinants of health. So this last slide just gives you a glimpse into some of the topics that I proposed for the volunteers, and then the overlay there in the blue is a simple communications template that my volunteer or my practicum supervisor can use to begin this conversation or spark this idea around increasing knowledge amongst the volunteers. So topics relating to food justice, again, seeds of our ancestors, so food sovereignty, and then prompting questions to promote further discussions amongst the volunteers moving forward. So that is a very quick glimpse into the work that I've been undertaking over my last 3 months at the EGP, and I'm looking forward to any questions you might have.
Yes.
Hi, Heather.
Hi, Nicole.
I think we might have discussed it before with the Quest Food Exchange in Vancouver.
Yep.
Were you able to make any connections with them, or
Yeah.
did they complement one another? Because it looks like you're doing something that's more like outside, and what they're doing is more inside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I Quest didn't really play into any of the stakeholder analysis that I was doing at the EGP. EGP seems to be more heavily involved with the Greater Vancouver Food Bank and organizations like Table Matters. So although I'm familiar with Quest, I didn't have a lot of interaction with them throughout the practicum.
Two more quick questions.
I've read some recommendations about having edible gardens in social housing. Mm-hmm. Were you familiar with that, or is that any plans to do that on the North Shore?
Yeah, I don't know that there's what the plans are for it to be considered in social housing. There is one plot that's set up in one of the local churches that supports Sage Women's House. So they do manage and harvest some of the foods there. Yeah.
Hey.
Hi.
So do you possibly see, because one thing that I've been very curious about these kind of projects, because you say that they're mostly volunteer, and I kind of don't, maybe my view is limited, but I don't really see that changing anytime soon. So kind of the way to adapt that is maybe to like set up gardens in like apartment buildings and use the volunteerism as a way to engage people for gardens like within their vicinity, like close to their home and things like that. Do you see projects like that expanding in this way, or do you maybe see it going in a different direction? Like, I'm just curious about what your ideas on how these projects might, and maybe this one particular might expand in the future.
Yeah, I mean, right now, yeah, they're limited. They have a finite limitation in terms of how much manpower they have. So right now, yeah, the EGP is actually focused on not growing more land because they can't manage it. They have a huge amount of land space as it is. So yeah, I think it will have to shift a little bit more to almost, not focusing on people volunteering their time, but more building individual capacity through skills, food skills.
Well, thank you very much. It's excellent.